This is Manlihood, the podcast for men who want to rise up and live with purpose. With your host, Josh Hatcher, this show is here to help you level up as a husband, father, leader, and man, with real conversations and strategies to help you in every area of your life.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Manlihood Mancast. Here we are on season 8. I'm glad you guys could be with us. Listen, I know we had a little bit of a break, and it took me a little bit longer than I was hoping to bring you season 8, but we are here, and I am so glad that we are. And I've got some amazing things for you. Season 8 is just around the corner, so this is our preview episode. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to give you a preview of the things to come. So as we're launching this season over the next couple of days, we're going to have a few replay episodes of some of our top episodes that we've had in the past few years. Those episodes are going to be with some of our top hitting guests first. We're going to hit those first, and this is the reason why. Because you might not realize this, but manlyhood is kind of a big deal. So there's a few podcasts out there that are at the top of the charts. You guys are familiar with Joe Rogan. I mean, who's not? Literally, as this episode is being talked about right now, as I'm recording this and getting ready to release this, Joe Rogan is interviewing Donald Trump, who's running for president. And he was trying to get on Donald Trump's opponent, Kamala Harris. Like, the most important two people on the planet right now, getting ready to appear on Joe Rogan. Now, I've not interviewed Joe Rogan. I've not been on Joe Rogan, but guess what? One of my guests was talked about in the first 5 minutes of the Joe Rogan experience. That's a big deal. So one of my guests from the Curious Jones podcast. So we are Joe Rogan adjacent. Now, the other podcast that's also a big deal also interviewed Donald Trump, and that's the Sean Ryan Show. He's frequently the number 2 podcast. He kind of bumps in and out of that slot, and that's the Sean Ryan Show. Now, I haven't been on the Sean Ryan Show, and Sean Ryan has not been on my podcast. But again, we are Sean Ryan Show adjacent. Okay, I have interviewed on my show John Deloney, and I have interviewed on my show Sam Childers, the Machine Gun Preacher, and I have interviewed on my show Victor Marx. Now, I'm going to share these episodes for you in our replay episodes as we're getting ready to gear up and launch season 8, because I want you to see these episodes again. But, I mean, guys, these guests have been on some of the top podcasts in the world, and they've been right here on Manlihood. That's a big deal. They've been on the number 2 podcast in the world. Sometimes that podcast actually jumps into the number 1 slot in Spotify and Apple, kind of in and out. And this podcast, the Sean Ryan Show, just recently interviewed Donald Trump. And I've had guests that were on that show, on my show, Manlihood. How awesome is that? Come on. By the way, the other thing, and I think that when I introduced this podcast, I made a mistake. I think I introduced it and welcomed you to the Manlihood Mancast, which is what I've been doing for the past 7 seasons. Guys, we're rebranding because that's a mouthful. And we're going back to the simplicity of just calling this Manlihood. So yes, it is a podcast. Some people call it the Manlihood Podcast. I'm just calling it Manlihood. We're going to make it simple for everybody. This is Manlihood. So if I accidentally call it the Manlihood Mancast, because I've been calling it that for 7 seasons, or for 8 seasons, this is the 8th season. So I've been calling that for a long time now. If I accidentally call it that, please forgive me. I probably will. So from now on, we're just calling it Manlihood. You'll see that our logo for Manlihood has been blue and white. And for the podcast, for the Manlihood Mancast, it's been yellow to kind of get attention. We're just going back to the simplicity of the blue and white logo. So we're rebranding this. And that's how we're going to kind of market this going forward. But guys, I just want you to know and realize and understand that seriously, this podcast is a big deal. The other thing that's going to be happening throughout season 8, I'm confident of this. We're going to bust through a really important barrier. We're going to hit 1 million downloads very soon. And when that happens, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how long it'll take us to get there, but we're really close. And when that happens, we're going to throw a party. So I'll let you know when it happens, and we're going to throw some kind of party. If I've got some money, I'll provide some food. If not, we'll throw a potluck, and y'all can bring a dish to pass. But we're going to have a party, all right? And we're going to celebrate 1 million downloads, and we'll have a good time. Worst case scenario, I'll make a pot of chili because chili is cheap. So we're going to have a good time and celebrate 1 million downloads when we hit that goal. But I just want you to know, guys, how much I appreciate you, and I appreciate that you guys are consistent with tuning in and with having a good time with us here at Manlihood. I really do appreciate you guys. I appreciate that you interact with us in our private Facebook group. I appreciate that you support us by buying our t-shirts. And so there are some really exciting things that we are launching here in this season. So we've got new t-shirts available in our apparel store. If you didn't catch them as we were in our break, we kind of did a pre-sale, our first sale, and those are now available. You can catch those if you go to manlihood.com/store. We've got some cool designs, and we'll be adding new designs every so often. So please keep checking back. And the way this works is we don't have like a big stock, like printed up and waiting. These are actually printed as you order them. So they're printed and embroidered as you order them. So there's a little bit of delay. You don't get them right away. They're made to order. We kind of close those orders at the end of like every couple weeks. We close an order out, and then we'll get that to you. So it takes a little bit of time to get those to you, but you can order those, and we'll get those to you soon. So please go to manlihood.com/store. You can order hats, t-shirts, jackets, all kinds of cool stuff. So head over to manlihood.com/store. You can help support the mission of Manlihood and look really cool while you're doing it. The other thing that we're launching this season, I'm hoping to bring you some coaching very soon. We're putting together a coaching program, but we're not quite ready yet. But in the meantime, we are bringing you Manlihood Plus, which is our exclusive access to special episodes, bonus episodes that you can only get with a paid subscription service, and you can access that on YouTube and on Spotify. So you'll see episodes there that are only available if you subscribe. So if you check the description of these episodes, you should see a subscribe link where you can pay a little bit extra to get episodes that you can only see if you are a Manlihood Plus subscriber. So if you watch on YouTube or if you listen on Spotify, you can upgrade and you can get bonus content. And I'm telling you, there's actually really good content that you're going to be able to get if you subscribe to Manlihood Plus. It's a reasonable subscription cost. I don't want to charge an arm and a leg for this, but I want to be able to give you even more content than what you're normally going to get. So Manlihood Plus launches here with Season 8, and I'm hoping that you guys really get a lot out of this. I'm really excited because Season 8 has some amazing stuff that we're going to bring you. So again, we are kicking off this week with our replay episodes from Judge Joe Brown, who's making a splash right now. You guys might remember him from like the 90s. He had like a courtroom TV show. Remember like Judge Judy, but it was like, like a no nonsense, black guy judge who got on there and kind of, did his thing. Well, now he's making a scene, and he's making a scene right now, actually, during this presidential season, making some pretty bold claims. I had him on a while back on the podcast, and he didn't pull any punches. I'm going to share that episode again in our replay. Our replay series here. We're going to share Victor Marks again. We're going to share my interview with John Deloney, Dr. John Deloney, who, by the way, I talked about the Sean Ryan show. He was on that show But he also has his own podcast, which has also been in the number 3, number 2 slot on Apple and Spotify repeatedly. He's doing phenomenal work. I think he might have even been number 1 on Apple Podcasts at one point. So again, I'm John Deloney adjacent because he's been on my show. So there we go. Yes. So we're going to share that interview with you as well in our replay episodes, as well as our interview with the Machine Gun Preacher. So those are going to be in our first week here as we're relaunching season 8. And then after that, I've got some solo shows that we're going to share with you where we're going to break into Josh's thoughts on things. I really like those. I really like to be able to share with you my opinion on how you can be a better man. And I hope it's actually not just my opinion. Honestly, it's the things that I've learned that have been invested in me from other men, from my father, from the men in my life. And I mean, that's really what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that I can just share with you the things I've learned. And the things I've learned the hard way, from the mistakes I've made, from the things I've done well, that's my goal. That's what I'm wanting to share with you. So we're going to have a few of those as we're kicking off the season. And then here's the other thing we're going to do is we're going to bring you some hard-hitting interviews throughout season 8. So let's talk about what some of those interviews are. We've got for you, we've got Tullian. And I apologize because saying his last name, some of you guys know, by the way, that I'm really bad with last names. So Tullian is Billy Graham's grandson. I don't know if you're familiar with Billy Graham. He was an amazing preacher who basically was probably one of the greatest preachers of all time. His grandson is going to be on the show. He has a crazy story to tell about how, he kind of became a megachurch pastor and had everything. And then his life came crashing down after some pretty big mistakes. Head got pretty big and he had it all, screwed it up. He's going to tell the story about it. So he's going to be on the show. We've also got chiropractor, Dr. David Lipman. We've got G.S. Youngblood. He's going to be on the show. He's been on the show before. He talks about relationships and how to be centered in your masculine core. He's got some really good insights to share with us. We've got Doug Giles. He's also been on the show. Ryan James Miller. He's an amazing guest. He was actually, he survived the Las Vegas shooting. And, that is actually a phenomenal interview. Some of you guys know that I'm a conspiracy theory enthusiast. And I felt a little nervous asking him about some of my questions about the Las Vegas shooting because I didn't want to offend him, but I had some conspiracy theory questions that I needed to know. But he was so gracious and willing to talk about that. That's not the most important thing in the conversation because what he really talks about is how he survived what happened that October night because it changed his life. And it opened up a lot of things really that trauma happened, not only that night, but the trauma from his whole life just kind of laid out bare. And so he talks about that and how we can overcome that and become the men that we're supposed to be. Great interview with Ryan James Miller. We've also are going to have Richard Lonsbury. Fantastic interview with this dude. I can't wait to bring you that interview. We've also got Skip Mondragon. He's a physician and a wrestler. He talks about anxiety and overcoming anxiety and depression and just great insight from him. And Sam Jolman is going to give us the sex talk you never got. Guys, again, I've got some fantastic interviews lined up for you. And I'm really excited to bring you really just some great insights. Because what we're doing here at Manlihood is I want to invest in your life. I want to help you become the man you are meant to be. I want to help you learn how to become a better husband, a better father, a better leader, a better man. I know that we're all coming at this from a different perspective, from different places in our life. I know that we're coming to our life with different perspectives. And I want to be able to look at these things together. And I want to be able to say, look, how can we grow? How can we level up? How can we take the place that we're at now? How can we address the issues that are going on in our life? And how can I take the junk and get it out of the way so that I can improve? Because nobody needs to just stay where they've been. That's what we want to do. Really, honestly, the theme that has been running through my head, and this started a long time ago with my friend Louis Costa, who's passed away. We did a series of blog posts and podcast episodes called Rise Up. And that's really the theme that's going to be rising up through this with our coaching. When we launch that is to rise up. We want you to be able to step into what it means to be a man. I love the picture of rising up out of the grave that you've been in and saying, I'm not going to be dry bones anymore. I'm going to rise up. I'm going to step into what I'm meant to be. And that's what I want to see for you. I don't want to see you languishing in your deathbed. I want to see you becoming who you were meant to be. And I know you can. You don't have to stay the way that you've been. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to struggle. I mean, let me say that differently. I do think we have to suffer and struggle. I do think there is suffering and struggling in the world. So I shouldn't say you don't have to suffer and struggle. You're going to. But you don't have to let it define you, and you don't have to let it destroy you, and you don't have to let it hold you down and keep you down. What you can do is you can let it drive you to become a better you. You can let it drive you to success. You can let it drive you to winning. You can let it drive you to a shift in your mindset. You can let it drive you to become the person you were meant to be. But what you don't have to do is let it hold you back. Guys, what I want to see for us as we embark on season 8 is I want to see you and I become who we're supposed to be. Look, I've been working really hard at it. You know what I did during this time off that I've had off? I've worked my butt off. Literally lost like 80 pounds. Had my hernia fixed. Been through a lot of junk. And that was really hard. And, you know, I've talked about it on my friend Justin Willoughby's 600 Pounds Down podcast. So if you haven't listened to that, go listen to my interview with him on the 600 Pounds Down podcast, because I talk about what that journey was like. But, you know, that's really the direction that we need to go, guys. We need to say the mental shift that we need to make, it's time to make that commitment. We need to do what we've got to do. Because I'm tired of staying where I was, and we need to not stay there anymore. I know you can do it. If you've got addictions, it's time to break them. If you've got struggles, it's time to let them go. If you've got relationships that need to be mended and people that you need to forgive, it's time to do it. Because we do not have to stay in the grave anymore. Gentlemen, it's time to rise up. That's what I hope we're going to do this season. Season 8, it's your season. It's my season. Let's do something special. Guys, don't forget, buy a t-shirt. Let's help support Manlihood. And listen, subscribe to Manlihood Plus. Seriously. It's cheap. It's affordable. But it's going to make a difference because you're going to get encouragement. And you're going to get valuable information and bonus episodes and things that you're not going to get anywhere else, so that you can help support the vision and the work that we're doing here at Manlihood. I love you guys. I'm proud of you. And I'll see you next time.
Thanks for being part of Manlihood. Now it's time for you to rise up and take action. Join the Manlihood Man Cave, our free Facebook group, and connect with the other men on the same journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share that episode with a friend. For more, visit manlihood.com.